Okay, so now we're recording, but I'll cut all this out to help me edit this a lot better and to figure out where the start of it. All we're going to do is, on the count of three, just clap so I can see that spike.
Yep.
And then we'll go into it. 1, 2, 3. There you go. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Wet Boots Podcast. My name is Leo, and I have today, I have a very special guest today. I'll say that for all my guests. But today, I have the highest speed, the lowest drag, the lowest of drags, the biggest guy that I've ever seen. And probably if we were in a relationship, I'd probably be a bottom for him. 100%. I have the greatest, highest speed, Josh Larson.
Hello, everybody. Josh here.
You're going to have the whole ovation. There it is.
All right.
What's up, bud?
Not much. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being on, dude.
Of course. First of all, a little about myself. I am currently 35 years old, just turned 35. I've been in the Army for coming up on 12 years now. I am in special operations, specifically psychological operations. And all the stories that we go into today and the stuff that we've gone will obviously not touch on anything that cannot be released.
Oh, of course.
Of course. But, and I'm going to be leaving out people's names and last names for the most part. Mm-hmm. There will be some people's names that I do mention, but only the first name.
Yeah, that works, dude.
Mm-hmm. All right.
You've been in, you said 12 years?
Coming up on 12.
So you remember the digital uniforms?
Oh, yeah, I still have digital. I still have digi breakup stuff in my garage.
I miss those sometimes, and and when I think about it, when they were going back to OCPs, when they were going into OCPs, I was so upset, and I wore those till the very last day.
I've always hated them.
They don't do anything.
Well, I've hated them for very specific. Well, I didn't mind them in basic, but I've always hated them since my first deployment because I'm here at Fort Bragg, Fort Liberty now. Yay.
Oh no, I'll never call it Fort Liberty. Absolutely not.
So I go to RFI, Rapid Field Initiative or whatever it is called, and they go to give me my multicam stuff, and they don't have enough. So the 82nd, in their great wisdom, said, you will take all of your gear that is in Digicam, along with your partial of multicam, and you will go forward into Afghanistan with all of this gear and catch up to your unit. So I had to carry twice the amount of gear with me everywhere I went because I had it in Digi and multicam. So I have always hated digital since then.
Oh, that's just such a pain in the ass. It irks me, and it's not your fault, but it irks me when I see people with like a multicam, not a plate carrier, but any type of multicam vest, and then everything else is like digital. It's like not their fault 100%.
Oh yeah.
But it's like, oh my God.
The worst part
was
just
the mismatch.
I got to Bagram and then I got the rest of my stuff issued to me. So I just had my entire pack out of military gear in digital that I never used. So it wasn't even like I was like half and halving it. It was just that they sent me forward saying like, just in case they don't have it for you, you can have this. And then I just never used any of it. And it was just me carrying around more stuff and possibly losing it.
What's one piece that you never used?
The groin protector.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that. I was thinking about the overboots.
Oh, groin protector, spalders.
The shoulder protectors.
Yeah, those, the neck guard.
Never used those.
They tried to say we needed to wear it. We were like, no, absolutely not.
That's too bulky. You can either get shot or you can move. You can either like protect your neck from getting shot or you can just run out of the way. And I'd just rather move out of the way.
Well, we were just everybody was of the opinion that like, if you wasn't a shot to the plate or the helmet, like that stuff's not going to save you. So it was like, oh, I'm getting shot in the neck. This little neck guard's going to save me. No, it's not.
Nah.
It's not going to stop the kinetic energy.
No, absolutely not.
It's going to punch right through that.
Absolutely not. So how was basic for you? Because you went in probably like 2011, right?
August 2011, Fort Benning, Georgia.
Oh man, in the fucking fall.
It was
hot, swampy fucking place.
The first real taste of Army suck happened like our first real day at basic. Because for those of you who have been to Fort Benning and done basic there, 30th AG is where everybody starts out. Mm-hmm. I was in 254, and there's just this big hill right from 30th AG, and right on top of that hill is where 254 is. So our drill sergeants were like most basic trainings, like they're further away from 30th AG, and so you get on a bus, you get off the bus at your building, and then shark attack happens.
Do they still do those?
Well, it was happening when I got in,
but they don't do this anymore.
I don't know. I don't think so. I've never been to I've never been a drill instructor, so I have heard that it has been toned down drastically to my chagrin. But so for us, 30th AG, they say, okay, get all your stuff. So your ruck, backpack, 2 duffel bags, all the stuff that you're issued. And so they're like, everybody get it on. And so like we're, gypsy camp, completely just packed down with everything. And they're like, all right, march. And they just march us up this hill. August, 9 o'clock in the morning, just like it's not even, a half mile up this hill, but it's like people are already starting to fall out. You're sweating profusely. And then we get to the hill, and then we're in this big field, and then the shark attack begins, and we're already sweating.
And you're already hating your life.
Yeah,
you're like, this is probably a huge mistake.
Yeah, just in their face, yelling, giving like ridiculous instructions where not everybody can meet the standard, and then smoking everybody for it while trying to figure out what platoon you're going to. It's probably about an hour and a half of just running around, holding our bags above our heads.
I remember that. We had a kid quit in like 2 minutes as soon as we put our bags over our heads. I'm just like, that's when I realized I was like looking back on it. That's when my dissociating started, probably like army dissociating. And then I was just like, just in my head. And then some drill sergeant was like, if you want to quit, just say you're going to quit. Just say you're going to fucking quit. And some kid just like drops it. I quit, drill sergeant. And he's like, you fucking pussy. And I was like, oh my God.
People so really. What did they do to him? Did they kick him out?
I never saw him again. So.
Oh man. I didn't know that quitting was an option.
They probably just took him back and shot him, to be honest.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was an option either.
Yeah. For some reason, like a lot of people and myself included, like I just didn't think quitting was an option. I'm like, I signed a contract. Like I can't just quit. Like it's going to suck, but it's like.
Yeah. If I had known that I could just quit anytime, I mean, I don't want to say I probably would have, but it would have changed a lot of things.
Yeah. I think that's one thing that is different for some people. It's like once you quit once, it gets easier and easier to quit again. And the things that I've said I was going to do in my life, I've always been like, well, I can't quit. I said I was going to do it. Yeah. So it's like either I'll fail or I'll make it, but I'm not quitting.
Yeah. Either one of those two is fine, because if you just can't quit. But if you fail, you're being like, well,
yeah,
I was there.
Yeah. It's like, I tried.
Yeah. You got to give it the old college try.
Yeah. But so that was the first day of basic, and just, nothing you do is ever good enough. And it's just immediate indoctrination to you're going to get smoked a lot and you're never going to be right.
Yeah. I'll edit that out. Yeah. I remember just everything was always wrong. Everything was always wrong. And I remember there's some sort of pride when you're all together, and then I remember one time we were all just getting the shit smoked out of us, and we all went back to the bays, and then some guys were like, man, we got smoked for like 2 hours. And I'm like, fuck that, dude. I'm like, that was terrible. And there was just some sort of pride in getting smoked collectively for so long, but that's that shared trauma.
Yeah. People are like, oh, that's trauma bonding. It's like, no, it's camaraderie. It's like, you will not find a way to enforce like group bonding than shared misery. Like that is the fastest way to like do cohesion.
It sucks, but you're all sucking together, so you're like, well, it's not that bad.
Yeah, just like quote unquote hazing in the army.
See, what's your favorite form of quote unquote hazing?
Qualifying.
Oh man, that's a good one. My favorite is finding, well, because I was a mechanic.
Yeah.
Finding soft spots on the up armored Humvees.
And that's not even that bad.
Like, no, it's really funny. Not. It's really not. It's just wasting time for them, and it's just funny because I had them. I was like, either grab a hammer or something metal and just make sure that there's no soft spots on the Humvees. Like, I don't understand. It's okay, man. You don't have to fucking understand. But the point is, if the armor's in the sun for too long, then it starts to warp the metal. And then if you're downrange and you get shot with an RPG, it's just going to go right through that. And they're like, oh, okay. And so they're out there like a day, just like hitting every spot with like a hammer or like a wrench.
So I'm just going to explain for the listeners in case you're at a unit that never did qualifying.
Yes.
Because just hearing that, you're probably not going to know what it means. Qualifying is where you go out into the woods and you find a tree that you can easily hug and clasp your hands on the other side. Mm-hmm. You get somebody to let's see how the best way to do this.
Turn them around. Upside down.
You go in for a hug like you were going to grab somebody by their waist and flip them upside down. So you hug the tree and you're bent over and your head's towards your knees. Other people in the unit will pick you up. So you are now upside down hugging the tree and push you against the tree. You lock your legs. So you're upside down and then the timer begins. And every unit has their own standard of how long you need to stay up there in order to qualify. Ours was 5 minutes.
I never did that, but I did see one thing that has actually, I haven't seen in a long time, and I hope it comes back because it's just such a fun tradition. The tradition of the cherry pies.
Oh yes.
In the pockets. Sometimes it gets brutal because I've seen anything as small as like a Hostess pie, and like they just put it in their pocket for the LT and stuff like that, and that's fine. It's fun. But one time I did see where this specialist, it was their LT's first jump in division.
Yeah.
So it was an MP, and then I just saw a specialist with a whole actual cherry pie. And then I'm like, that's interesting. And then this specialist did not give a fuck. He just smashed their hands all into the pie and just shoved it in every pocket. I'm like, that is so savage. I have never seen that before. Oh my God. And it was just chunks of pie in every single pocket. And I saw that and I'm like, well, at least it's just one pint. Not, they had another one. That was wild.
Some people get it.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you're an officer. Sorry. Like if there's a tradition enforcement, as we like to call it.
Like the spur ride sometimes.
Yeah. But
I don't know what that is, but I don't want to experience it.
Yeah. I do love seeing those things, but yeah, they have kind of gone the way of the dinosaur.
Yeah, unfortunately. But some of them don't hurt anybody. The cherry pie won't hurt anybody.
I mean, qualifying doesn't hurt anybody.
Nah.
Sending somebody out for a box of grid squares.
The keys to Area J.
The exhaust samples.
Exhaust samples, those are great. I mean, I've seen those ones where have you seen those ones where they have like privates you know that chain that's all the way at the bottom where the steering wheel is for the Humvees. Yeah. So if you don't know, you have the Humvee steering wheel, and at the bottom there's a chain that you pull it, and it extends so you can wrap it around one of the holes of the steering wheel so you can lock it. So that way, if somebody's trying to steal it, they can't move it around. Mm-hmm. So they tell them that that's a pull to start. And so they're pulling it, and it's not connected to anything. That is
never heard that one.
They're just pulling. There's videos of it on like YouTube and Instagram. They're just pulling it, and as they're pulling it, like somebody's on the little the ignition. So they're pulling it, and they're like, like you almost had it, man. You just got to pull it harder and harder.
That's pretty great.
Oh, I missed that. Oh. So what? So you were in. So what year? So what month did you graduate after in basic?
So I graduated basic in November. Went immediately to airborne school.
So you went like right down the road.
Yeah, I went right down the road to airborne school. We had the December airborne, and then I graduated airborne and came directly to Fort Bragg, and I've been here ever since.
Yeah, how's that been?
I'm originally from the West Coast, and nothing against the East Coast. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
I've also heard that being around military bases, you attract a certain type of person to those kind of towns. And just like they say about people in Fayetteville, you're either flown here or grown here.
Yeah.
And the ones that stick around usually aren't the best. And I feel that can be said about pretty much every military base.
Yeah. There's a particular type of people everywhere.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's jaded my experience or not, but I miss dry weather.
Oh my God, the humidity here is terrible. That's one thing that caught me the first time I experienced it. it was disgusting. And then they started burning. They started doing the controlled burns around here. And I'm like, what are you doing? It's already hot as it is. You're increasing the temperature by like 10 degrees, and it's absolutely disgusting.
So speaking of controlled burns, it reminds me of a great time that we got to have when I was in the 82nd doing a train up for my second deployment. We were doing our live fire exercise. We were doing night lanes, and we were getting onto the actual live rounds, you know, bounding, like doing the whole like more advanced tactics plus under nods and everything. This starts happening, and Tracer like goes errant and starts a fire in the wood line. And our XO or commander, whoever was in charge of that, was like, just keep going. The fire's not that big. So we are running lanes with a fire burning to our right. So we can't use our nods effectively and look to our right.
Yeah, because it's just all white.
Because it's just all washed out as soon as you look. So we've got fire burning to our right, guys bounding, and we're shooting past them at targets and just going. And it's just like, at that time, I was like, what is my life right now?
Yeah. Yeah, you have a lot of moments where you question it. You don't question what's happening, but you're like, this is really happening. Like, this is really my life.
Yeah, like in my mind's eye, like one time when I looked to the right and I saw people bounding, and I just see people with machine guns and M4s in like night vision and then backlit by fire. I'm like, that looks really cool. I'm like, this is not safe.
No, you're like
my night vision is now shot when I look forward. Like I can't see anything.
Yeah, So how was the 82nd for you? How did it treat you? Because a lot of people, there's a lot of opinions around the 82nd, and I was in the 82nd for 7 years, and it's one of those things that I just refuse to let it get to me, for lack of better words. But a lot of people get to the 82nd and they're like, fuck this, and they just either get out or go to another unit.
So I enjoyed my time in the 82nd as much as I could. There were definitely times that really sucked, but it's the people that really make it what it is. Yeah. And I had the opportunity to serve with a lot of really great guys. I also had a unique experience that I deployed quite frequently with the 82nd, so I didn't have to deal with, the world, like the IRF, the immediate response force. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have to do like a train up and then no drinking for a year just in case you get called up. Like everything I did was deployment focused, getting to deploy and then coming back. Yeah. So that the deployments are what made it worth it to me. If I didn't have the deployments involved, I think I would have hated the 82nd a lot more than I do.
And that, well, I don't want to say that's kind of happening, because that was happening for a little while, but there's always going to be something happening for the 82nd, because they're just the poster boy for the Army.
Well, yeah, but like when I was there, I think it was 4th Brigade, which has disbanded. 2014?
Yeah.
That was when. So 4th Brigade was, like, we called them what did we call them?
That was Falcon, right? No, that wasn't Falcon.
We just called them like the Dress Brigade, because like they never deployed.
Oh, like 2nd Brigade, the Parade Brigade?
Parade Brigade. That's what we call them. Yeah, we're like, they're the Parade Brigade, because 3rd Brigade was on like IRF. Yeah. And then like 4th Brigade never did anything. So if you went to 4th Brigade, like you just trained for nothing. Yeah. So like if I had gone there, but I went to 1st Brigade. So it's like when I got to the unit in the beginning of 2012, they were already deployed to Afghanistan. I in-processed the unit, and I went to like a month and a half long, like abridged train up, and then they sent me forward.
God damn.
And I caught up to the unit. So literally I was in the Army for less than 8 months, and I was deployed.
Ah, damn.
Yeah. So I went there, deployed, finished out the deployment with them, came back. We did our time off, train up, get ready, and then we deployed again in 2014. So like my career in the 82nd was
just deploy, come back, deploy, come back.
Deploy, come back, deploy. And then it was like getting ready for whatever was coming next. And that's when I decided to join PSYOP. Yeah. So then it was train up for PSYOP, go to selection, and then I was out of the 82nd. So that's why I have that view of the 82nd, because I got to have action. I got to deploy quite often.
Yeah. I feel you on that one. I only deployed twice with the 82nd, but it was actually very fun. But definitely the thing that got me out of the 82nd was I just wanted to get out of there, man. I just couldn't, well, because I was a mechanic.
Yeah.
I could not do it. It was just like I was in the same unit, same everything, and I think at some point it just got to me, and I was like, oh, absolutely not. It got to the point where I was like, I don't even get, like, if a car hits me right now, that'd be a good little break. If a car runs me over, that'd be a good little break.
It's like, I won't die. I'll just, I'll be on like profile for a while.
Yeah. I'll get that man board and all that stuff.
Yeah.
How crazy were the barracks parties? Is that
They were pretty wild. They were like really wild. So the first, like, no, not the first. So the weekend before I deployed my very first time. So that was all the people who were left back, all the people who were left back. So that's generally people who were getting out of the Army, people who were getting kicked out of the Army.
Yeah.
And then, the people who are just, holding down the fort with like S1 and all that stuff.
Now, I will say, when you're around those people at work, it just sucks. Sometimes it sucks, but when you're drinking and when you're having fun, it's just an absolutely different world because those people don't give a fuck.
They do not.
They don't give a fuck. So you're like, what are you doing right now? It's 10 in the morning.
Yeah. So barracks party weekend before I'm about to deploy, and there's a barracks rat.
Oh my goodness gracious. Okay.
Who is getting way too drunk and like wandering into random rooms and stuff like that. And there was a guy that apparently had a little bit of a crush on her.
Shout out to her, man.
And she was going to leave with some other guy. And he got mad, accused the other guy of basically being like a predator. Things got a little heated. End up choking this guy out.
And you're a big ass dude.
I was smaller then.
Oh my God.
I end up like choking this guy out, and then randomly the CQ shows up. And they're like, what's going on? Get off of him.
CQ, man, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I didn't even know. Like, I can't believe they actually did their rounds and how they showed up at just that time. It was, but yeah, like basically we had to clean out the hallway, which had like 3 beer pong tables going.
Oh yeah. And
just like, it's like, that's it, night's over. And people are scurrying into barracks rooms. Just like, I don't want to get in trouble. And
they just got to kill the party, don't they?
Yeah. But it was, like, that was my first real experience with a barracks party. I'm like, is this what's going to happen every time? And fortunately, they don't get quite that rowdy. But they usually end up with, like, people getting way too drunk. People, quite a few times we had a guy that was notorious for getting blackout drunk, going into people's rooms and peeing in their closet.
Oh, my God.
Like, right on top of their TA-50.
What the fuck?
So, shout out to you, Harvey.
Oh my God. He just pissed in your closet?
Just piss in the closet. Like, it was just...
just walk away?
He was just notorious for it. And then, like, fall asleep somewhere.
Oh my God. Oh, fuck. I don't think I've ever experienced anything like that. My whole thing with barracks parties was just a barracks party. Somebody had a beer bong. What's it called? Beer pong? A beer, the funnel with the thing on it. Yeah. And then obviously like the 3-story beer bong where they just have it out the window. I did, however, once have a bottle. Oh man. Yeah. I did once have a bottle of tequila, and I was about to drink it by myself. And I saw this party going on outside the barracks, and they had a beer bong, and they were just filling it with beer. And they're like, let's get some of that tequila. And I was like, no, you're not putting it in there. That's going to be disgusting. They're like, let's fucking do it. And then the guy was like he was doing it, and like, oh, pour it in. I was like, all right. I poured like half the bottle in there, and then he just kept drinking it, and then he just stopped. Okay. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy, I hope this guy's alive in the morning. And sure enough, he was. One time I did have one time, one of my buddies, shout out to fucking Ruva. We were hanging out in my room, just chilling, something like nice and chill. Right.
Yeah.
And we're drinking, and I'm over here sipping some Wild Turkey, some heavy shit. And then he's I gave him like a good glass full. And then I noticed that he wasn't drinking it. We were just hanging out. And then I was like, come on, man, you at least got to sip it. You can't make me feel bad. And this dude grabs his glass. He's like, oh, my bad. Chugs the whole thing and then puts it down. And I'm like, that was 116 proof. What are you doing? And he's like, oh, I just felt bad because, you know, you were drinking alone. So I was like, okay. And in about 2 minutes, he's like, hey, fool, I think I'm going to go to my room, dog. And I was like, you sure? Yeah, dog, I'm just fucking sleepy. And then I just didn't see him until like noon that next morning. I was like, fuck.
So I was going to say, the thing I was notorious for when I was in the 82nd was getting too drunk and blacking out and things happening while I was blacked out. So we got back from our first deployment. We pre-gamed before going to ITS.
Oh, I forgot about it.
Yeah, ITS.
I forgot about it, dude.
So it was me and two buddies. And when we were in Afghanistan, we went by a Hodge. For those of you who don't know, it's not a derogatory term. That's what we say. A Hodge suit shop.
Oh, okay.
And we all bought custom suits.
Nice.
Like mine was black and red pinstripe, like very thin red pinstripe with like a matching vest, matching pants. The tie was like the red color of the tie matched the pinstripes, and I had a shirt so it was like everything was color coordinated.
Okay.
Nice. And then I also bought a shamag that matched it too. So
what's a shamag?
The head wrap.
Okay.
Like the terrorist style head wrap.
Okay.
That matched the color also as a joke, so I could wear that and be like terrorist chic.
Okay. All right. But so you guys went to ITS like that?
Well, we didn't wear the head dresses,
but the rest of the
we
rest
all
of the
were in like full suits, and we went to ITS.
Okay.
I don't remember what happened. I remember we pre-gamed far too hard. I got there, had some drinks. The next morning, I was in my barracks room, and I'm like, how did I get here? What's going on? I call my friends, and they're like, where are you? I'm like, I'm in my barracks room. Where are you guys? They're like, we're in the parking lot of ITS.
How the fuck did you get to your barracks room?
What are you talking about? So apparently, something had happened. I had wandered off. Somebody put me in a taxi cab. The taxi... Apparently, I somehow communicated well enough that I had to, where I lived on base, paid them, made it up to my room, and fell asleep. Just completely disappeared on my friends.
That's a pretty responsible drunk right there.
I know. I was surprised too. My friends, maybe an hour or so later, realize I'm gone. So they're looking for me. They're looking for me until the bar closes. They go outside, put down the tailgate of their truck, put up a sign on cardboard, like, have you seen our friend Josh? He looks like a big Hawaiian guy.
Okay.
I have slightly dark skin. At the time, I was tanning a lot more, so I did look a little more Hawaiian, and I had a tattoo of Hawaii on my shoulder.
Oh my God, yeah.
So they put that, and they both fell asleep in the bed of his truck, waiting for me in the parking lot of ITS.
Oh, you're such a dick.
So I called them the next morning, and they're like, where the fuck are you?
Oh, you're such a dick, man.
Sorry.
Oh fuck! I completely forgot it was a thing, and didn't it burn down or something? I remember just going there one day, and then I tried to go back like the next week, and it's still open. Like the building is still there, the sign is still there, but it's just not.
I thought it
a
got
thing.
turned into something else.
I don't think it has. I mean, I haven't been around there in like years, but
yeah, I don't even know if Barcelona is still a thing.
No, Barcelona got turned into Halo recently.
Yeah,
I think it was Halo. Yeah.
Yeah. Fort Bragg, Fort Liberty.
I'll never call it Fort Liberty. I don't care.
Everything's changing.
I will never call it Fort Liberty. So, do you remember any more stories do you have any more stories, wild stories?
This one's maybe not wild, but it is, I think, very interesting.
Okay.
So this is what got me into psyop, and it's just a random coincidence thing.
Mm-hmm.
So my mother and biological father were never married, and I had never met my biological father growing up. As I got older, Facebook became a thing. I was still in contact with my grandparents, so my biological father's parents, contact through Facebook. Continuing on, my dad and I like friend each other on Facebook, but we've never talked. Like we just have done that. We know what each other looks like, but we've never talked because come to find out we're very similar in that it's like, I'm here if you want to talk, but I'm not going to impose myself into your life. Like that's just how we are.
Okay.
So we know what each other looks like. It's after my first or second deployment. I can't remember. I'm married to my first wife. Mm-hmm. I'm helping set up the roller derby rink because she played roller derby.
Okay.
And I'm like taping up the track, getting ready to go. And this guy comes up and he's like, hey, nice high and angry. Because I just got a high and tight as a joke. And I'm like, thanks. And I just look at him. I'm like, thanks. And I go back to taping. I'm like, that was really weird. And it hits me. I'm like, oh shit, that's my dad.
Oh my God.
Like, and so after I finish that up, I go and start talking to him. And he had just got done with his time in Vicenza, Italy, being a planner for the 173rd.
Wait, was he in the Army too?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
He was in psyop.
Oh shit.
So we go, the team plays the roller derby game. We go to the after party and we're talking, and he had gone because one of the girls on the team was a person in his debt. So he was just supporting his soldier.
Okay.
So I'm supporting my wife. He's supporting his soldier, and we randomly meet for the first time, completely unplanned, and we have never spoken to each other before in our lives.
That's some wild shit.
So from there, we become really good friends. I go over to his house. I'm talking with, he's a senior NCO. I'm still a specialist at the time. Mm-hmm. I'm hanging out with, sergeant first classes, master sergeants, first sergeants, some sergeant majors.
Once you do that, it's a weird world, isn't it?
It is. And so, but I'm hearing all these wild stories of what psyop is like. And that's when I was like, I'm going to go to selection. That was the thing that made me decide to go to selection. But nice. I just always thought that was a really funny story about how small the Army is.
Yeah.
Because you will see people that you never thought you would see. And it's just like, you're here now? Yep.
It's a weird concept to think of, like how small the Army is, because we all know people who aren't aware of the military or the Army kind of world, right?
Yeah.
And so whenever you meet someone, or whenever you're in an airport or somewhere, or whenever you get in a conversation with somebody who doesn't know that world, they're like, oh, are you in the military? And you're like, yes or no, whatever. And they're like, do you know my son Billy? And you're like, no, sure. Yeah, I do. He's in the Marine Corps. But they always assume that you would know somebody that they know just because you're in the same branch.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've met people from here or in the Army that I know that we lived in the same town in California.
Oh, yeah.
My cousin lives here in Fayetteville. And his brother, I ran into his brother the first time when I was in Afghanistan. And I'm like, that's just the smallest fucking world.
Yeah. My first wife, her cousin was in the Army, and like we were fiance. She was my fiance at the time.
Yeah.
And she was like, hey, you're in Afghanistan right now. I'm like, yeah. And she's like, my cousin's in Afghanistan. Where are you at in Afghanistan? I'm like, well, I'm at Bagram getting ready to push out to my base. She's like, oh, he's at Bagram. You should go meet him. That's the what you're like, why? You're like, okay, but why? Like, sure. So I go, and here I am, a specialist meeting a sergeant first class. I'm like, great.
But it still adds to the whole, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it still adds to the whole, like, fuck. It's just the randomest kind of things that just make you realize that the Army's actually really small.
Yeah, the Army's huge, and most of the time when people are like, do you know this person? You're like, no, but there's also a lot of times where it's like, hey, like you'll meet somebody and be like, I've heard stories about you from somebody who used to be in your unit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the amount of times that's happened to me where people are like, I've heard about you before. And I'm like, what have you heard?
Yeah. You're like, whatever you heard, allegedly. It is alleged what I've done. I one time when I went to ALC, I was coming out of the DFAC, and some guy just shouts my name. I don't know what's happening. And I just like turn around. He's like, Leo. Okay, what's up, dude? And he's like, runs up to me. He's like, hey, man. I have no idea who the fuck this is. But I'm like, hey, bud, what's up, man? Hi, nice to see you, man. It's been a long time. He's like, I know. It's been a long fucking time. And then like, I want to say like 5 minutes into this conversation, he tells me, he realizes that I don't know who he is. So he's like, do you remember me? And I was like, I got to be honest with you, dude. I don't know. I don't remember. He's like, you were my mechanic. And I'm like, okay. I was a lot of people's mechanics, dude. And he's like, I was in this company in this unit and you were my mechanic in 2013. I was like, dude, okay, that's really like far back there. But when did you leave the unit? He's like, oh, in 2014. And I was like, can you still remember who the fuck I am? That's weird.
Yeah.
That's just random. And from like I'm like, well, I appreciate it, but that's fucking like, it was so far out. And I just did not recognize this guy.
Yeah. There's some people that like are very distinctive and you'd be like, oh, I see why you remember that person. And there's other ones, it's like, how do you remember?
I remember. So it is very distinctive. And I remember I sent you that video on Instagram of that dude trying to choke out that other dude.
Yeah.
And then the guy like pulls down his mask. He's like, this is a finance class. That guy was in my old battalion. I remember because I remember his last name and I remember his lisp and his face. And I'm like, I fucking remember that guy.
Yeah. If you have something distinctive, like a lisp, like,
oh yeah.
Or something wild happens, like you try and fight the commander at a battalion ball.
Has that happened?
Oh yeah.
What the fuck?
Just, people are drinking grog, at our battalion ball where
explain what a grog is for those that don't know, just out of pure curiosity.
Grog is where you get a gigantic basically punch bowl and the commander and some other people, the first sergeants, CSM, all of them, they give speeches, and while they're doing that, they're pouring drinks into the punch bowl, and it could be anything from alcohol to Tabasco, juice, putting an old sock or an old boot into it.
I've seen that.
And then everybody goes up and they have their they have a cup, and everybody gets a scoop of the grog, and everybody drinks it because it's a big camaraderie thing. So usually the grog is highly alcoholic. The great thing about the ball, especially when you come back from deployment, is everybody's just super glad to be alive, and they're with their significant others, and it's a good old time. If you're an alcoholic, like most of the people in the 82nd, and you're lower
allegedly,
and you're a lower enlisted, meaning I don't have the most money, you find ways to get drunk on the dime.
Yep.
So one way is to continually go back up to the grog. Another way that we perfected was once the dancing starts, you start wandering around the tables, and all the free wine that is provided to the tables, you snag the bottle and bring it back to your table.
Oh my God.
So at one of these tables that had way too many wine bottles that were provided because they had been taking them, Joe had got a little too drunk, kind of got a little handsy with his wife. It wasn't assault yet, but it was trending in that direction because he was just way too drunk. The commander steps forward to be like, hey, you need to stop. And the commander's doing the right thing. And that Joe was not having it. And he's like, you know what, sir? And just starts swinging on him.
I like that you still maintain the sir.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's some things that, like, no matter how drunk you are and like how bad of a thing you're about to do, it's like, it's just so ingrained.
It's just so ingrained to be like, you know what, Staff Sergeant? Suck my dick. This ain't happening right now.
Yeah, just, random stuff like that. It is weird when it's like people, you've been in the military for so long, or you've been, you've just been conditioned for certain things. Like even when you're about to do the wrong thing, you still do kind of the right thing by using the proper way to address somebody.
Yeah, you go to parade rest, you just look at somebody in the eyes, you're like,
fuck you.
Sergeant, first sergeant, with all due respect, but you're a fucking idiot. And I said with all due respect.
I said it.
So I got a couple questions before we head out.
No problem.
I like to think of this as are you a shitbag or do you still drink the Kool Aid? That's what I want to name this. That's what I want to name this section.
All right.
So my first question is, how many boards have you been to?
Like promotion boards?
Any kind of board. Soldier of the month, soldier of the year, NCO of the year.
I've been to 0 NCO. I've been to 1 soldier of the month board, and I did bad on purpose.
Okay. That
was when I was a specialist. I've been to promotion boards.
Uh-huh.
I got those. both for sergeant and staff sergeant.
Uh-huh.
But outside of that, I did not pursue going to any boards.
Okay, I like that. It's classy right there. That's classy.
It was just a lot of extra work for something I didn't want.
Yeah, it always is, because I don't understand why the lower enlisted go for. I get it, because we just had a competition, like a Soldier of the Year and the NCO of the Year. NCO of the Year competition for the battalion. And as an NCO, it looks great on your NCOER.
Okay.
It looks great. But as a Joe, you get a coin.
Yeah. So I will say one guy that I went through training with for psyop, he like participated in the NCO of the Year, and he made it up to like the Army level.
Oh, like Fort Knox type thing?
Yeah. And he got like third place or something like that. And he said that he got free laptops, and like he said he made about $10,000 in like products and gear and stuff like that for doing that well.
Ah, damn.
So it's like, if you think if your skills are good enough and you want to take it for a ride, I think it would be worth it. But the amount of effort he put in was, he said that he was studying constantly for like months.
Yeah, personally, I probably wouldn't do it. I got a buddy who's one time told me, he's like, I went to the Fort Knox like NCO of the Year type of thing for the Army, like same thing that your friend did, and then he's like, I knew I wasn't gonna win right before the PT test, because I went to go take a piss, and it was me and another guy doing the PT test at the same time, and I went to the bathroom and I'm taking a piss, and this guy comes in, and he's like, and I looked at him and I was like, hey man, good luck on the run. And he's like, I do not need luck. I would not lose because God would not allow me to lose. He's like, at that moment, I heard that and I was like, I'm not going to fucking beat this guy. And I was like, God, that is aggressive. That is a very aggressive power move right there, dude. Fuck.
The only thing that you could do is, if you're really confident on your run, is beat that guy and be like, God loves me more.
All right.
Next question.
Okay, this is a very important question, and I say this is a very important one because you can't trust somebody who does this. Do you tuck your pants into your boots, or do you use boot blousers?
Boot blousers.
Dude, there you go. That's the right answer. That's a classy move right there. You can't trust anybody who tucks their pants into their boots and wears standard issue boots.
I'll agree with that.
If it's a private, specialist, whatever, lower enlisted, got it. Wear those standard issued boots, because you don't want to pay $200 for more boots.
Yeah.
But if you're an NCO, I'm not saying don't wear the issued boots. They're issued for a reason. But if you're wearing them, I'm probably not trusting you for shit.
Yeah, they're good for, I'm not going to lie, I still wear my issued boots to mow my lawn.
There you go. But you don't wear them to work.
Fuck no.
Hell no.
Fuck no.
Ooh. Do you heat up your MRE?
Absolutely.
Ah, fuck. That's it. All right.
Well, here's the thing. Have you ever had the pork breakfast patty?
Absolutely not. What?
Cold?
I've never had that.
Okay, it's terrible either way, but if you don't heat it up, when you pull it out, the fat is like congealed in a thin film, and it looks like almost like floppy, semi-transparent rubber.
It looks like Jell-O.
Yeah, it does.
It's disgusting.
So if you heat it up, that all melts off, and you don't have to look at that and like, ugh.
I can't. I've seen that, and I was like, absolutely not. What's your favorite MRE though?
They don't make it anymore.
Chili Mac? No. Buffalo chicken.
Buffalo chicken.
The original buffalo chicken is good.
The buffalo chicken was bomb.
They have this other buffalo chicken now, but it's just
not the same.
It's not, because it's just canned chicken in a bag, and then they give you buffalo sauce to pour all over it.
That's terrible.
I had that when I was in selection, and I had that MRE when I was in selection, and then we were rucking back. I ate it, and then because I saw buffalo chicken, I was like, there's no way they brought it back. I ate it. I was so disappointed, and as we were rucking back, it just hit me. I was like, I got to take a shit. I have to take a shit. So I sprinted to the front of the ruck, to the front of the ruck, immediately went right into the wood lines, found a down tree, took all my shit off, leaned up against it, took a massive shit. And then as I was like finishing up, I put on my ruck and I see the trail vehicle just moving. And I was like, fuck. So I book it into the trail and I just start running into the middle. And then somebody's like, where the fuck one of my buddies like, where the fuck were you, dude? I was like, I had to take a shit, man. And then one of the instructors was like, where the fuck did you come from? I was like,
what line?
Yeah, dude. I was like, my bad, man.
Sometimes you gotta go.
Yeah. Oh, now we're on. Okay, so now that we're on the topic of the field, are you a surface shitter?
Fuck no.
I'm a surface shitter.
Fuck, you're a piece of shit.
I'm a piece of shit.
You are a dirty piece of shit.
I'm a straight up piece of shit, man.
Because the chance of somebody stepping on it, the chance of like, if let's say some poor Joe fucks up and his platoon sergeant's like, we're going to do some bounding.
Oh, man, you're stepping in. And somebody falls, you're in.
No, I'm saying, like, he's up, he sees me, I'm down, and you go down and, like, chest slide on it.
You are laying that in.
Bro, I would be irate.
I went to the field. It was when I first got to the 82nd. We were in the field. It was so cold. And I remember waking up, and somebody says, "Oh my God, there's shit next to the LMTV," and we're like, a deer probably shit there or something, or a goose. And he's like, "No," he's like, "No, it's human shit. Somebody's a fucking surface shitter.
Somebody's a goddamn top shitter."
That was the first time I heard that, and I was rolling because I was like, "Who the fuck's a surface shitter?" Oh man, but that's the thing. I'm a surface shitter because I don't have time. If I'm in the field and I'm taking a shit, that means I have about 30 seconds to get everything done. And if you're in the field, that means you have your taps, your flick on, and you probably got a ruck on. I have maybe a minute if I'm lucky.
So I've been in those situations, and what I do is I just undo my pants, pull down, and like I'll find like a log or a tree, and I'll like jam my ruck up against it, and I'll air squat so I don't have to take anything off. Do that, and then I'll turn, and real fast I'll use the heel of my boot and dig a trench real fast, and then use the dirt to kick it in and just like at least get it off the top.
Nah,
I'm considerate.
I'm not, dude. I'm just like, you know what? I'm just like, you know what? I'm a surface shitter. I did, however, one time it was my second time in JRTC. We were on what we call the horseshit hill. Because our hill was just covered in horse shit. Because there's fucking wild horses over there.
Oh yeah.
And we had a berm. We were on a hill, but the berm was moving down. And I woke up and I had to take a shit, so I dug a hole into the berm, like into it and then down, so I could just lay there and sit down. And it was like nice cold dirt, and I was just sitting there. It was like 7 or 8 in the morning. And I'm just taking a shit, and then I see an OC just walking around the wood line, and I'm like, "Oh, this is my life." And he just like looks at me, just stops, and then he's just like, "What the fuck is this guy?" And then he just keeps going because I'm like, "Morning, hey, morning."
He's like, "You know what? I'm gonna leave that weirdo alone."
Yeah, because he clearly saw what I was doing. All right, you're going to the field for 7 days.
Okay.
How many shirts, socks, and underwear do you bring?
Say 8 pairs of underwear.
Okay. Classy.
Just in case.
Yep.
Socks, at least 10.
Yeah, socks is one thing you got to take.
10. Shirts, I'll go with 7.
Okay, you're okay. You're more classy than the normal infantry guy,
but I only bring like 2 uniforms.
Yeah, nobody brings more than fucking 2 uniforms.
It's like my undershirts and stuff. Like I go hard on those and like the underwear and the socks, but then like it's like I'm just gonna fuck up these uniforms. So I'm gonna be stinky, but like those ones are gonna be clean.
Oh yeah,
I did have guys that would bring like 2 shirts.
That's what I wanted to get into, because that is appalling and to me it's disturbing, because you're going to be in the field for 7 days, no matter what the fucking weather is. It's going to be either hot, cold, whatever the fuck, but you're only going to change your shirt twice. Got it? Your personal preference. I don't care, but it's fucking gross. And it just makes me feel like you're just putting on that. You're just sitting in that dirt. That's fucking nasty.
But with that, like, I also bring wet wipes for whore baths.
Oh, always. Always. That's 100%. You got to do that. Now, while you're in the field, do you bring your sleeping mat?
No.
Nobody does. So some people do. I've seen it, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing that for? So I can sleep on the ground, Sergeant. And I'm like, just sleep on the fucking ground. I've seen that, and I'm like.
So, along with that, I will say that for anybody that's going to JRTC in the wintertime, where it's going to be cold, and you're in infantry or you're going to be doing infantry-like things where you have to do patrol base. We went in February one year, and it snowed, like, for the first time ever in a long-ass time.
I think I was there for that.
And we got snowed in and all this stuff. But I discovered the best way to sleep and / be ready and not be cold. I did not jump in my sleep system. I jumped in my marshmallow suit.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
A big puffy suit that, like, is for cold weather. And at night, when it was time to go to bed, I would put that on and then put my uniform over the top of it. And I would just fall asleep on the ground.
Oh, okay.
And then when it was time for me to pull guard, I could just roll over and I was ready to go. I would pull guard, and then literally as soon as I was done, I could roll back over and go back to sleep without having to get into my sleeping bag. And it was the most comfortable.
Yeah, it's literally just work smarter, not harder.
Yeah. So a little tip for anybody that's going to JRTC in the wintertime. That is the way to do it.
Oh my God. What are a few of your favorite quotes that you've heard in the military?
A cheerful attitude won't make the job get done any faster, but it'll piss off enough people to make it worth the effort.
Why would it piss off enough people?
Think about it. You ever been doing something that sucks and you see that one guy that's happy?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And you're just like, why are you so goddamn happy?
Yeah.
I get off a little bit on, like, other people sucking, and I'm just like, this is great, guys.
Oh, you're that fucking asshole.
Yeah, it's like, come on, guys, this isn't so bad. Like, I'm an instructor right now, and for those of you who've been to Fort Bragg, there's Kool Aid, the trail.
Oh, yeah.
The very beginning part of it is a river that runs over the trail.
There's a river now? Oh, shit.
There's like a swampy area that crossed over the trail. And I'm 6 foot, and it goes up. Oh, yeah. It goes up to waist level on me.
Yeah.
So I'd have my students follow me, and I would take them on, like, one of their first rucks, and I would go right through the middle of that because there is no way around.
And they're trying to find the way around?
They're trying to find a way around, and I'm just going through it. I'm like, keep up, guys. Keep up. It's not so bad. It's just a little bit of water. And they're fresh out of, AIT, airborne. And they're just like,
Their poor little hearts.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just plowing right through the middle of it. Like, come on, guys. It's one of those things where it's like, you just got to, like, it's going to suck. Just keep on going.
Yeah. I can't stand. I personally can't. I'm like okay with somebody who's like a cheerful attitude, but once you get too cheerful for too long, you're like, all right, shut the fuck up. Somebody's going to tell you to shut the fuck up at some point.
And that's what makes it so funny to me.
One of the funniest things I've heard is you're an alternate. We told you this. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Nobody said it to me, but I heard somebody say it's like, yeah, they told me I was an alternate. And I was like, okay, I get it. He's like, no. They told me to my face, we told you you're an alternate. You don't matter. And I was like, God damn, dude, that is just basically nobody gives a fuck right there.
I mean, some people need to know where their spot is. Like,
yeah.
Some people are kind of delusional about their abilities. So it is good to let them know sometimes.
We don't fucking need you.
It's like, you need to be better before we're going to use you.
But that's the thing. He was an alternate because he had already done like a competition beforehand.
Oh.
And so they were just like, if the main guy got hurt or something, he was going to be an alternate, but they never told him this. And then he was just like prepping for the competition that they told him he was going to do.
I completely misread that.
No, yeah, but they're like, you're an alternate. We told you this. And he's like, oh, nobody told me this. And they're like, yes, we did. And like, no, nobody told me any of this shit.
I will say one of the greatest feelings in the Army is when somebody says you didn't do something and you forward them the email that you sent them.
Okay. All right. I can.
Right? Is it a great feeling?
Yes. However, I can't even speak, man. This is fresh in me because this happened to me this 2 weeks ago, and then this past week. Sent them 2 school packets. Sent them to cancel 2 school slots. This guy CCs like 7 people, and he's like, I will not process, like a strongly worded email. I will not process this right now. Wait till 2 weeks before the class start date. And like, it's a whole bunch of other shit. And I'm like, I didn't reply, but I'm like, you know what? Fuck this guy. And then I'm like, I'm trying to pull these guys, but I'm like, you know what? Maybe he's doing it just so we can get another guy in there. So we can like do a 1-for-1 swap easily. Yeah. I'm like, whatever, that's fine. He sends me an email, CCs 2 people, or he sends it to 2 people, me and the other guy who's the other guy's NCO, right? Yeah. Says, I apologize for the mistake. I didn't realize that you needed me to cancel this request.
Wow.
And I'm like, I saw that, and it was 2 people that I needed to pull. And so I saw that email, and I'm like reading it, and I'm like, fuck. And then people are like around the office looking at me, and I'm just like, just flipping off my computer for like a straight 2 minutes because I was so, this was so upsetting that he CC'd all these people. But then turned around and was like, oh, my bad, dude. No, I just keep it between us. I'm like, you piece of shit. You motherfucking piece of shit. Sorry, I got too excited. I got too excited with that one. What advice would you give someone who's fresh out of basic or AIT?
I would say find a good NCO and get mentored by them, because that's something I did not do.
Yeah, me neither.
I hung out with the Joes. I partied. I had a lot of fun earlier in my career, and that was just an immaturity thing on me. But if you actually want to make the military your career, find an NCO that is well respected by other NCOs and just at least looks like he has his shit together.
Yeah,
and actually get some mentoring, because the good ones will help you.
Yeah, the good ones will help you. The other one, but it's so easy. The good ones will help you. The quote unquote bad ones will just kind of just brush you off a little bit. Just do this. Just do that. But I will say that it's very easy to tell who the good NCOs and who the bad NCOs are. You'll be able to spot. There's not really something that I could like give a guideline on. This is what a bad NCO looks like. This is what a good NCO does, and something like that. But you will be able to spot them. You'll be able to look at them and like, this guy's a piece of shit.
Yeah. Also, I would say when you first get to your unit, like, yes, it's good to know regulations and stuff like that. Don't try and be a barracks lawyer.
Oh, no, absolutely not. Because once you start doing that, because you don't know the regs as well as you think you do.
Like, you might get caught up in something. You're like, oh, because of this, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, okay, you're right. You know what also is in the regs? We don't have to approve your leave.
Yep.
Like, they're like, we have a detail coming up and we are choosing you. Is that getting back at you? A little bit. It could be considered that, but honestly, there's no way for you to
prove it.
And once you start becoming a headache for your leadership, you are cast in a certain light, and certain responsibilities and opportunities will not come to you as readily. That's just the way it is. If it's a legitimate thing, absolutely, like, bring up, but like, do not do it in public.
No.
Don't be like, actually, first sergeant, according to blah, blah, blah. Just be like, after the formation or whatever, be like, hey, I'm a little concerned about this because my understanding was, you word it that way, it goes over much better.
Mm-hmm. Time and a place. There's always a time and a place for everything. I've had several people who I've had several leaders who get off on not get off, but just they like to call out people in front of everybody instead of, and like higher ups just like belittling NCOs and stuff like that. And it just fucking sucks.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's not healthy either direction. It's not healthy for lower to do it to higher. It's not healthy for higher to do it to lower.
No. One time my old commander, I hope this guy's living under a bridge right now, tried to go to tried to go to BLC, and he called me into his office, just like, hey, commander wants to see you. And I was like, what the fuck did I do? But it was just like, hey, sit down. And my platoon sergeant was there. It's like, I just want to know what you wanted to do in your career. And I was like, well, I want to go to special operations. I want to try to try out a selection. And then if I don't make that, then try to go to, group and try to be a mechanic there. And he's like, okay, so what's the benefit of me sending you to BLC? And I was like, I'm sorry, what? He's like, it's if you're going to leave the unit, what's the benefit of me sending you to BLC, becoming an NCO, and then like leaving the unit? I'm like, Sarah's career progression. Everybody wants to do different things. He's like, yeah, but what? You're not staying in this unit. And he talked to me for like 10 minutes, and it was back to the same thing. And then I was like, you're not going to send me to school because I don't want to stay here, are you? And he's like, oh, no, I'm not saying that because it'd be unethical.
At that point, if it's unethical, then why are we having this conversation?
I was so defeated at that point that I was just like, I kept asking him, like, you're not going to send me. You're not going to send me. He's like, give me a good reason why. And I was like, career progression, better for the unit, better for me, blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, okay, I'll consider it. And then I like walked out with my platoon sergeant, and I'm like, I can't believe that just fucking happened. He's like, I don't know why the fuck this is happening. And then I was in the park. We were in the parking lot, and I was just yelling at my fucking platoon sergeant because I was so fucking frustrated. And he's like, I know, Sergeant, shout out to Sergeant Broom. He's like, I know that you're pissed off and you're not mad at me, but I'm gonna let you take your anger out. I smoked this whole pack of Reds. Dude, I've never smoked that much in my fucking life in one day. I smoked a whole pack of fucking Cowboy Killers in that like 20 minutes that I was outside. God damn. So to wrap this up, what the advice you'd give to someone is find a mentor.
Yeah, find a good mentor.
Last question, would you do it all over again? Knowing what you know now.
I would do it all over again, but I would do things differently if I had the knowledge I had now.
No, you can't do things differently.
Then yes, I would do it all over again. Yeah. I have had amazing experiences in the Army. I've grown a lot as a person. I met my second wife, who is the love of my life. I would never have met her if I did not join the Army. Overall, my life is just better because of being in the Army. It's not always that way for some people, but absolutely, I would do it again.
Nice, dude. Nice. Love it. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me on.
Love you. I'll definitely send you the link to this. Love you, bud. Thanks for being here today, and thanks for joining us.